What is going on, my MS Gym family? How you guys doing? Good morning, good afternoon, good day. My name is Trevor Wicken, and I am the creator of the MS Gym. I just want to welcome you guys and say that thank you for being here, and I'm glad you're here because this is the best resource out there for learning exercise with MS, learning how to use exercise to manage your MS symptoms, learning how to use movement and develop a movement practice that works around the MS damage in your body. So when we go through exercises behind why we're doing what we're doing, every single exercise I do is MS specific. It is structured and strategically done in a way that allows your brain to learn best, so you're not cramming information in without doing the steps that you need to get there. And it's also, I want it to be simple for you, and I want you to be educated on it so you know why you're doing what you're doing and what you're supposed to be doing when you're doing it. So we're going back. Last week we kind of went off track a little bit. I was going to do a long series on basic training movements in the body. So we did basic training on foot drop and some spasticity. And now the last week we did getting off the floor because there was a large demand of people were having kind of issues getting on and off the floor, and they felt limited because a lot of the stuff that I do on the floor they couldn't do. Well, number you guys do exercises in your bed and then transition to the floor. And number two, we taught you how to get on and off the floor. All right. So hopefully you guys kind of practice that over the weekend. You definitely should be practicing that daily. If you have issues getting on and off the floor or getting up, period, that series alone will help you get out of your chair better, to move around better, to get off your wheelie walker better, just basically to live better. So we're going to go back into basic training this week, and one of the basic training moves, right, that you need in order to be biomechanically sound and be able to combat and counteract a lot of MS symptoms is the pelvic tilt, okay? Even people who are in my membership who have taken the steps to be like, I want my goals accomplished this year, I want to rock this out, I want help, we go over pelvic tilting a lot in the membership, but there's still questions about it. And so I want to cover the fundamentals for you guys in this group because it's imperative that you can pelvic tilt. And it's very hard to do in a chair if you cannot do it on your back. So that's where we're going to start, okay? So if you cannot perform a movement pattern in your body, that typically means that something's out of whack. That means that something else is either trying to do what you're trying to do, like another muscle is trying to do work that's not its job, or there's a muscle that is so fired up and spastic and overactive that the muscles that you need to help you with the pelvic tilt can't fire, all right? So neurologically, when we talk about pelvic tilting, we're talking about tipping this right here, this bone, this anterior superior iliac crest or spine, okay? So ASIS, we're thinking about tipping that backwards, okay? So my belt buckle's right here. So it's as if I took that belt buckle and I was pulling it up toward my rib this way, towards my ribs or towards my sternum, towards my diaphragm, however you want to think about it, okay? So don't get confused on the anatomy. It's a posterior pelvic tilt because when we look at tilt, we always look at ASIS. So we're going posteriorly. So it's the ability to put that pelvis into neutral. Now, when we pelvic tilt, that's not to say that we're going to do this. We're not going to hard tilt down like that. I've had people do that too, and then they go back and they're like, well, my PT or my, kinetotherapist told me I shouldn't be pelvic tilting. That's not true, okay? So you should be pelvic tilting back to neutral because a large majority of MSers and human beings in general end up in this position where their hips are tipped forward, they have an accentuated lumbar extension, and they actually get anterior tilt. When that happens, you got a ton of stress down here on your low back. You're elongating your core, so you're actually stretching these muscles out, which makes them weaker. You typically fall forward like this, and the head falls down, okay? So when we talk about pelvic tilting backwards or pelvic tilt, that doesn't mean a hard drive so that you end up in this what's called kyphotic spine. You just want to get it back to neutral. So you want to get those hips from back here. So see, my hip joint is behind my head. You want to get it under your head, right? So you want it aligned up with your shoulder and your ear. So that's what I'm talking about. Now, the muscles that we're using to do the pelvic tilt are not our back muscles. We're not driving through our back. We're not pulling down with the abs. We're using these external obliques, which run this direction from a back here across your body this way in this big old sheet. Those are the ones that pull your pelvic tilt back, okay? So those are the ones that cause that posterior tilt or that spine, or the ability to maintain spinal neutral, okay? So pelvic neutral. So I always explain, imagine your hips are a bucket of water that's filled to the brim, okay? You don't want water spilling this way. You don't want water spilling this way. You want to balance that bucket so that you're underneath yourself. This will help activate your glutes, pull your core in, and your shoulder blades down. It actually assists in BGB without you having to think about it too much. Now, the main muscles that get overactive and that typically are spazzed out or spastic with an MSer are these muscles right here, okay, called your erector spinae or your QL, which is called your quadratus lumborum, and then also your rectus femoris. Those aren't the only ones, but those are two main drivers of spasticity and prevention. Because when these get tight down here, these muscles here, they pull the hips down, and when these get tight right here, they pull the back of the hips up, which also tips the pelvis down. So you need to release the muscles on the back, release the muscles on the front, and then work on pelvic tilting. Okay? So what we're going to do this week is we are going to work on pelvic tilting in a number of different ways, because I've had a lot of people comment in and they're like, I can do the pelvic tilt okay on my back, but then I sit in my chair and I fall apart, or I stand up and I fall apart, or I can't hold pelvic tilt when I'm walking. It's not because you can't pelvic tilt or you're doing anything wrong. It's just that once you go from lying down flat on your back to seated to standing to walking, those are all different demands on the body. So when you go from lying on your back all the way to standing up, there's massive amount of changes and a ton more muscles that have to happen when you're standing up having to avoid gravity and you're trying to pelvic tilt. So if you can't pelvic tilt right while you're on your back, you have no business pelvic tilting when you're walking. It doesn't mean you shouldn't. It just means that in your brain's opinion, right, you have no business doing it when you're standing up. I don't even know how to do this when we're on our back. So I'm going to train you this week to progressively get better at pelvic tilting and give you some drills to do in different positions and ways so that you can get better at pelvic tilting when you're walking. So the end game here is pelvic tilting while you're walking, all right? Or for people that are in chairs, it's pelvic tilting while you sit, but you have got to learn how to pelvic tilt when you stand up. Otherwise, you're going to constantly be leaning forward, and you're not ever really going to get solid steps or solid walking because your body's constantly wanting to fall forward. Okie doke? Okay, so let's get into this. So first thing we want to do is we're going to, now if you're doing this in your chair, you can do this while you're seated in your chair. And then when we do the exercises, you can get to your bed, all right? But I'm going to show you this on the floor if you can get to the floor. So what I want is you're on the floor. I want you to scoot away from a wall a little bit and then lean back. Or you can do this in a chair, whatever. Now what you're going to do, that muscle starts right up here on that ASIS, okay, the hip pointer, I guess, and it goes all the way down to your knee. So what you want to do is take your fist like this. I want you to, and we'll start off with your fingers, get up right on the top of that hip. That's the top of that quad. And you're going to massage that thing out. Okay? So we're just going to get those muscles to chill. Like I'm sticky right there, right? So I would get in there a little bit. And once you find a sticky spot, you can use your fists to get in and release that quad. Okay? Now as you're sitting against the wall or in your chair, make sure your abs are in and make sure your shoulder blades are down. I don't want to see slumpy bumpies. Okay? So you're going to get in and you're going to femoris. That muscle runs from, again, the top of the hip all the way down to the knee. So you're going to go, or across the top of the kneecap. So you're going to just be working this, and then as you come forward, just sit forward and work it. You may have a lot of tension right above that kneecap, okay? That's sometimes where my body freaks out. So find those spots that are the burly party spots, okay? Get in and break up that party, man. When you find that spot that's like, ooh, that's the party, okay? Send the release cops in and get it done, right? Actually, my main spot is right here up top, right? So that's a big deal. The closer it is to this ASIS, The closer that spasticity point is, the more it's going to affect your low back. All right? So we get in there for about 30 seconds. Now, again, you can use a ball, okay? You can kind of use a ball to get in there. You can also use a rolling pin, whatever you got to do. All right? All right, so let's switch legs. So we're here. Find the top of that hip bone and get in there, okay? Right there. And use your fingers wide like this. Get in there and go wide, okay? Go wide, baby. All right. So that one's right in the center. So I'm higher here and I'm right here. So then once I find that spot, I get up and I lean and I get into that party. Woo! That feels amazing on a Monday morning. It's still dark out and I'm ripping my leg apart. All right, so down here. We finally got snow here in Colorado. It's been like, it was a ton of snow yesterday. So it was way fun hanging out with my girls in the snow and throwing them around a little bit. Okay? All right, so we got that done. All right, now release those erector spinae muscles. So you can do this a number of different ways. You can use your fists, your hands, you can use a tennis ball, or you can use a lacrosse ball. If you are not used to doing this, please use a tennis ball. Lacrosse balls are pretty hard. You don't want to aggravate your tissue. So use a tennis ball or just use your fists. Now, you can do this sitting up against a wall or in your chair. You would just put this behind you and lean back. Honestly, it's not as effective, and it's like, yeah, you're kind of getting it done. You're putting the behavior in there, but it's not really getting it done, all right? So what you're going to want to do, okay, is we're going to release the muscles on the back. So if you're on your bed, that's fine, or but it's hard it's hard on your bed too, because this is going to sink into the mattress. So if you can find something harder to put on your bed or on top of your bed and then put like an exercise mat on top, that would be ideal. So what you're going to do here is you're going to take that ball and you're going to put it right under your back, okay? So right there. Or you can take your fist and you can put it under your back, and you just have to lay on those spots, okay? So you want to start up mid-back, and then so ball goes right there, and you kind of can just hold that there, and then you roll on top of it, okay? So you can either kind of hold that ball there, or you can just kind of chill and just let your body just breathe into it. Initially, it's going to be very tender. Initially, it's going to feel like someone's driving their elbow into your back or into your spine. You just have to breathe into it and kind of let your body chill and just get used to it, okay? So as you breathe, just think about those muscles relaxing and letting it chill out. So once you get to a spot and it kind of releases, you may want to move down the spine a little bit. So if you're in a good spot, stay there. If you feel, and as you breathe and you feel that intensity of that tenderness drop, then you can move on to another spot, okay? So we're right here, and we're down, okay? So that's how we're rocking this. So I have a lot more up here. Actually, I'm more of a mid-back spazo. Some people are more of a low back spasticity person, okay? I call myself a spazo. I'm not saying that you are, okay? I'm like, dude, stop spazzing out. So that's on my mid-back, and I'm kind of just finding those spots, and I'm just letting my body chill out, okay? So tennis balls are good, fists are good, whatever it might be. You don't need to get in there and crush this tissue. You just need to let it relax and chill, all right? Okay, so now we can go to the other side. So you roll to the other side, put the ball there, okay, and, oh, that's good, okay, and you get to the other side and do that. Now again, you're going to have different areas that are sensitive. The left side might be higher and the right side be lower. It doesn't matter. You just need to focus on this. So before you go to bed, while you're watching TV, like anything, right, you should be sitting there releasing these muscles. While you're at your desk, if you have a lacrosse ball and then you have a softer surface, it's a little bit easier to get a feel for it. Instead of a soft ball against a soft surface, you got a harder ball against a soft surface, so you can oftentimes feel it better. Okay, so you're going to take about 30 seconds, 45 seconds just to breathe and release that. Okay, so here we go, pelvic tilters. So when we do pelvic tilting, a number of things can happen with MS. So we want to be in this position right here so that we can pelvic tilt. But a lot of times what will happen is our legs will fall to the side, they'll fall to the outside, they'll fall to the inside, whatever it may be. So you've just got to figure out what's best for your body, okay? So if you have legs that fall to the outside, you can get something like one of these little loop bands, put that around, put both feet through, and put that in there so the legs aren't falling, okay? Or you could use this if your legs fall to the inside, because if they fall to the inside and you put the band around, you just push to the outside a little bit, and that band will hold you, okay? That might work. Typically what will happen is that this is so spastic you can't actually get those legs apart, so then what you need to do is put a pillow or a ball in between those legs, okay? I do have to get another squeezy ball. Mine popped. So you would put the ball in between your knees, okay, as you do this, and you just want to hold the ball there. You don't want excessive squeezing, but you just want to hold the ball there. All right, so now we're going to pelvic tilt. So I'm going to make it so you can see my belt. So I got my belt buckle-ish right here. All right, so now what we're going to do is I want you to imagine you're holding an apple under your chin, okay, so you're not using your neck. If you need to put your lacrosse ball there, do it. Then I want you to walk your shoulder blades down so that they're not all shrugged up like this. You got to kind of chill out. Then what I want you to do is make sure that your feet are pointed straight forward. Knees are lined up with the hips. Then what I want you to do is you're gonna pull up on your pelvic floor. Those are called your pubococcygeal muscles, your PC muscles. So you want to engage those. What that is like doing a Kegel exercise. If you don't know what that is, that's as if you were urinating and then you cut off the urine flow midstream. So those muscles. So you want to pull up on that pelvic floor, which engages your pelvic floor. You want to pull your abs down, and this is all gentle. You don't need to grind it, okay? So gentle pull up on the pelvic floor, gentle pull with the abs down towards the mat, and then we relax our shoulders. Then what we're going to do is I actually want you to put your hand where your belt buckle would be, okay? And all you're going to do is you're going to use these muscles right here, your obliques, to gently tip that pelvis back. So what it kind of feels like is if you had a button underneath your back, your low back, you're kind of just pushing your low back into that button. So you're doing a pelvic tilt back this way. So your hip this direction. So I'm going to over-exaggerate this. So there's a forward tilt. I got a big old arch on my back. Now watch right here. So I tip back that way. Okay? Now what we're going to do on this, we're going to do 8 reps and we're going to hold it for 5 seconds. Okay? So abs are in, pelvic floor up, shoulder blades down. Put your hand on your belt buckle and think about guiding your hips and your low back into the floor. Okay? Ready? And go. So we tip back. So you should gently feel that low back in the floor. If you feel this in your low back, you need to go back to releasing those muscles in your spine, or just don't push down as hard. Don't go as far. And when I say relax, you're just kind of gently coming out of that pelvic neutral position. Okay? So pelvic floor up, abs down, and back. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, and release it. Abs in, pelvic floor up, and back. So you should feel your low back in the floor. 2, 3, 4, 5, and back. Abs are in, pelvic tilt, and back. 4, 2, 3, 4. And you should be using these muscles right here, and back. Okay, pelvic floor up, abs are down, and back. 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you feel yourself like straining, you're doing too much. You may not be able to move that much. Your brain actually may not even be connected in right here. You just want to focus on kind of gently pushing that low back into, like rotating your hips and pushing your low back into the floor, okay? Do it gently at the beginning. You don't want to stress out your low back or be pushing into your legs. Ready? And go. So pelvic floor up, abs are down. 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, and back. Pelvic floor up, abs are down, and go. 7, 2, 3, 4, 5, and back. Pelvic floor up, abs are down, and tip. 8, we'll do 10. 2, 3, 4, 5. And the reason why we're holding it here is because it may take your brain a sec to figure out what the heck's going on. Pelvic floor up, abs are down, and tip. 9, 2, 3, 4, 5. Back to neutral. Abs are in, pelvic floor up, and we tip. And 10, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Good, you guys. All right, relax. All right, cool. All right, so that's it. That's all we're doing today, okay? This is not a workout week. You have plenty of exercises to do in the MS gym to work out, all right? You can focus on the get off the floor stuff. You can focus on the foot drop stuff. What you need to do, if you haven't, is go to exercisewithms.com and download one of the free MS exercise guides. So foot drop is in there. Reducing spasticity is in there. It's a full stretching program to reduce spasticity. You got neck pain relief in there. You got balance in there. And for those of you who need more core strengthening, you have chair core strength in there as well, which even my veterans that have been here since like June, they still go back and they use that core strengthening stuff when they need a little bit of a boost, when they're having a relapse, a flare-up, when they get sick, when they're exhausted. That chair core strengthening program is fantastico, all right? So, exercisewithms.com. You need to go there. You need to get on my email list. After this weekend, we met with our key strategist, our chief strategist, Ken Allen, who's going to be helping us out with a lot of projects this year. And we decided I'm going to start emailing between 3 and 4 times a week. Important stuff. If you're not on the list, you will miss it. And there's a good possibility you're going to miss something that could be that aha moment for your brain that allows you to get better. So go to exercisewithms.com and get on the list. So with this pelvic tilting, you guys, that's what we're doing this week, all right? I want you to practice and I want you to focus. You've got to get this move down, because if you don't get this move down, a lot of other things become very difficult, because your body is constantly in that forward-leaning position, which means it's constantly feeling out of balance, which means you cannot get your body in the right position, and your brain's going to freak out and not allow you to relax and actually exercise how you want. So if you like this video, go ahead and like it. If you want to comment, comments away. But practice, practice, practice. Okay? With it today was called supine, meaning that we're on our back doing pelvic tilts, and we're going to be doing a number of different ways to pelvic tilt. And then I'm going to show you some exercises to do to strengthen your pelvic tilt as well as we put it all together. So, I love you guys. I'm grateful for you guys. Thank you for being here. If you are really, really ready to get this party started and get your goals going in 2018, go to themsgym.com. Check out that membership site. You guys, there's some amazing success stories that I'm getting in there. And even the people that are struggling this are better, but I'm still struggling with this. Hey, Trev, help me. Hey, coach, help me. Because you have direct coaching access to me in the membership. Then I fix that, and then they come back and be like, oh my gosh, that was so much better. Now can we work on this? So that is how we progressively get better. That's a key part of the membership. I've had multiple people this weekend be like, thank you for that one tip last week. Thank you for walking me through that bullet point 1, bullet point 2, bullet point 3. It totally made sense and my brain clicked in. So if you're struggling and you have that couple things that are holding you back, it's good to do daily exercise and not have to think about and bounce around all this stuff and all this amazing content in the MS gym trying to figure it out. Okay? So, I'm with you guys. I got your back. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.